Here to drop off check for the initial planning application.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has.
Well, you'll hear some noise in the background. We're chipping away at work. But yeah, let me give you a quick update. It's all the way since November when you last were part of the project. It's really been at the level of constructability now, getting to exactly how all these pieces come together. Here's the view from inside. You'll recognize pretty much the broad strokes, but you'll notice maybe the kitchen cabinetry looks a little bit different now, how it wraps around the corner. In terms of the pieces themselves, you'll recognize, I think, everything that's going on in here. Same grab bar arrangement, transfer shower. I think in the past that was just a blank wall, and maybe that wall kind of was a flange, so it was more surrounding the kitchen face. But now the kitchen face feels like it wraps the whole thing, so that it looks a little bit more like a unified object from a distance. And that gets counter space, but it has a few other important benefits as well. This particular small door is, and you'll see that's where the sub panel actually is located. So really practical things about like, where's the one place where I can put an electrical panel that has all the clearances necessary from an inspection perspective. So that you have to basically have no obstructions above or below, no wet items. And so it couldn't go beneath the mini split. It can pretty much go nowhere along the kitchen counter because the countertop is further out than the upper cabinet. So it was kind of like just this face where on that corner side, the upper cabinet and the base cabinet are only 12 inches deep. It was like the perfect place to place the sub panel. So that's where the main power from the house goes with one big wire to there. And then from there, there's breakers that will go to all the circuits that are part of the kitchen. So like the microwave and oven and so forth. But then otherwise, like the really important thing happening behind the scenes here, let me move the upper cabinets. So you've got the L-shaped wall, but then we've got these, this 1.5 inch gap here, which is where the actual pipes are running. So you'll notice there's a kind of like 45-degree cut on this piece of wood. That's because when you bring the upper cabinets in place as part of the assembly process, they kind of hook up and on to that kind of ledger. So that lets you take the entire upper cabinetry piece and then just kind of like lift it up and into place. But then to have that 1.5 inch gap between the wall and the upper cabinetry, that's like a chase, like a free airspace in which we can run those mini split pipes. Because there was always a problem of the mini split pipes need to go from the mini split all the way to an outside wall. And so now they can run unobstructed all the way behind the upper cabinetry and then kind of leave the outside wall. But then that space also lets all the wiring that needs to happen from the sub panel into the stud walls. Usually you'd have to like, drill through the walls horizontally to get wires moving horizontally. But now pretty much all wires don't ever have to be drilled through wood. They can just run through that air gap as well. And then even our PEX piping, I think for the most part, we're going to be able to make it work. So I think the most important design choice really has, from a construction perspective, has been getting that air gap in place behind the upper cabinets. And then there's lots of clearances that have been kind of like perfectly finalized at this point to have the cabinets themselves all be standard 12, 15 inch, 18 inch kinds of widths, so that it was very easy to purchase those pieces from Home Depot. Another design trick from an ADA perspective is you'll notice that this door has a kind of weird stud arrangement to it. It is a 2x4 wall, but we've kind of like made the wall quite a bit thicker where the door is. And that's because I think we might have just missed this when we were doing ADA clearances, is that you technically can only have an 8-inch kind of like obstruction of anything on the side of the door before your formal kind of turn radius is allowed. And those countertops are 12 inches deep. So I needed to basically pull the door closer to you from the outside. And I'm achieving that by basically the frame to the door, instead of 2x4s, then suddenly it's a 2x10, so it can kind of jut out towards you a little bit. I think that's fairly unusual as a carpentry detail, but then that leaves kind of that 8-inch offset from both directions and allows us to still kind of the pseudo ADA from in almost every sense. So we've been basically mocking these up, and past kind of getting the model to work, then a lot of my kind of shop drawings have basically just been SketchUp models like this with screenshots. Let me just show you a little bit of what the space looks like.
Sure.
I'm gonna disconnect a little bit here and then just start walking around. Turn my webcam around. Maybe look as well.
Okay. That's a pretty big space.
It's huge. Yeah, it's way bigger than we need. The contractors, I build construction, and they're a local company. So I think Melee made the connection just randomly, like had met Caesar, the head of this company, like at the DMV. So it was just like a perfect coincidental find of a local company. And this guy's been really excited in this team to work on the project. So you can even see in the distance, they've got some products for other projects just being stored here in the meantime. Lots and lots of equipment they've set up. And then there's even a taco truck that they're starting a side business that's kind of stored here in the meantime. But yeah, over here in the back are the two Aduos in process.
Cool. Wow.
So the one on the right is for North Fair Oaks, and then the mirrored version, kind of a few steps behind, is for East Palo Alto. Caesar just came, so I'll be going right back to checking on the progress.
Okay, sounds good. And we can definitely touch base another time.
Yeah, great to see you again, Julie.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks again.
Alrighty, bye.
All right, bye.
Hey everybody, it's August 1st, which means it's been exactly 3 months since we've started using this warehouse space, which was generously donated by Emerson Collective, and we just got an extension, so we'll be here for at least 1 more month. I've been working with iBuild, which is a local general contractor here in East Palo Alto, and we've been coming in about once a week, given our busy schedules. But the typical work session has been Caesar and a few of his guys, and me with a SketchUp model, which details every dimension and component of this Aduo design. The latest design is basically an 8x10 module. It's an L shape that can go into the back right or back left of a typical garage. And the L ends up enclosing a 6x9 bathroom space, and then the outside is kitchen wall. The whole thing is designed to come apart in 8 large prefabricated pieces, which can be picked up by a couple guys and moved by dolly. And there are a few standalone items as well, like the refrigerator, dishwasher, range, toilet, and bathroom vanity sink. I think the most exciting part so far has been figuring out this upper cabinetry, which wraps around the corner and includes an overrange microwave, a mini split system, and a hidden electrical subpanel. And it can be lifted up in 2 large pieces and hung on a 2x4 ledger, which is cut at a 45-degree angle. And that means there's an 1.5 inches of an air gap behind the upper cabinetry, which typically doesn't exist. But in our case, it plays a really important hidden role, which is to allow all the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing lines to run unobstructed across the wall. Right now, the first prototype is mostly ready to go in terms of what can be prefabricated offsite. Today, I'm expecting to receive the dishwasher, which is the final appliance to come. And with that, we'll be ready for countertop templating later this week, which I'm a little bit nervous for because typically with IKEA, they would expect to install the countertops directly into the final location, the residence itself. And we'll see what the installers have to say when they show up and see that it's a prefabrication in a warehouse site. We recently got our first building permit issued. That's for this prototype behind me, which is going to North Fair Oaks, and I'm excited to introduce the family to you in an upcoming video. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you'll subscribe to follow the rest of this project.